Samia Hassan, who took over in 2021 following the death of the then president, is set to win an election which has been described as controversial. Let's reflect on these with a political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Asa-Esante. What do these elections mean for democracy in Africa? Are they fertile grounds for larger types of unrest? We speak to him in a second. Let me just show you the timetable for elections in Africa. In October, 3 elections, as I said, Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon, and Tanzania. Guinea-Bissau is set to vote in November. And in Guinea-Bissau as well, the opposition will not be allowed to participate from all we're hearing. Then the elections in Central African Republic. There was an election in Malawi where the opposition won as well. Doc, thanks for joining the program. Good evening.
Good evening.
How concerned should we be about what's happening in Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon, and Tanzania?
I think the elections that we are seeing in this country are nothing but mockery of elections that we have in our part of the world. Mockery in the sense that they don't reflect the true tenets of free and fair elections, where you allow equal playing field for all the political actors, where freedom of speech is not controlled, and where you allow political opponents to have their way so as to be able to operate and operate effectively. All these things are missing links within this election, and they are nothing but what? Making our democracy nothing but what? A mockery.
Let's take them one by one. Cameroon was the first one. Paul Biya is 92 years old. This will be his 8th term. Of course, the country has been stable. Some people argue that sometimes between choice and stability, we should go for stability, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. How would you describe the Cameroon situation, particularly when the opposition leader declared himself winner, but the Electoral Commission says, no, you haven't won? How do you read the Cameroon situation?
It's nothing but a sorry story, because we've seen Paul Biya. He has ruled for many years, and this is his 8th time. And one would have thought that after 2 terms, you just buy out. But these people tinker with the constitution. They come in 3rd term, 4th term, 5th term, and 8th term, and the rest of them. What you are telling the people is that, look, you are the only one with the magic one, with knowledge to turn things around for the people. But democracy doesn't work that way. You allow the forces of democracy to work. What are the forces? You allow the people to have their say through what? A fair, honest, transparent, and free election. Election devoid of what? Intimidation, harassment, and all the aberrations you can talk about. Human rights are safeguarded, and media have their way to operate freely within the contours of the law. Is that what we are seeing in Cameroon? Look at Cameroon. You have a whole lot of what? Bizarre story. You have intimidation against opponents. You have what? The media is, clip, and they can't talk, they can't do much. Arrest and detentions, and what have you. And these are the cornerstones of democracy. So once you hit at them, I'm afraid you are what? Creating problems. And these are the things that create fertile grounds for military adventurism.
All right, let's deal with Cote d'Ivoire. I remember in the early 2000s, Alassane Ouattara was in Ghana. In fact, he was in the studios of City FM campaigning that he was being denied the chance to run at the time against Laurent Gbagbo. They claimed he was not Ivorian. He had come to Ghana to lobby President Kufuor and co. to intervene in the Ivory Coast situation. Fast forward, he was allowed to run, he won the elections, and there have been a few tweaks with the constitution. He would argue that I have not done anything unconstitutional. Can we paint Alassane Ouattara with the same brush we are painting Paul Biya?
They are birds of the same feathers, because if you look at Ouattara, one would have thought that with all his Western background, all his experience at the IMF, and the rest of them, you come home with something good to turn the whole society around. But events have taken a different turn. The same things that he was complaining of has been what meted out to his opponent. The serious opponent has been bad, claiming that he's on Ivorian and the rest of them. You know, it's nothing but robbing Peter to pay Paul. And that in itself is not good enough. We are seeing, yes, it is true that the economy is a little bit improved, but we still have challenges in the issue of what? Human rights violations, arbitrary killings, torture, ill treatment of people, detentions and all that. And these are the evils that rear their ugly heads in any democracy. And so once you do this, you create a kind of what tension and what a political what decay within the country.
Let's talk finally about Tanzania. You know, a woman who took over from Magufuli in 2021 after his death, a lot of people felt that she started well, governing well, COVID was brought under control. But we are now told that the main opposition leader has been jailed for treason, and the other potential opposition people have either fled the country or have disappeared. I mean, for a woman leader in a country like Tanzania, I mean, that's quite serious. What's your reading of the situation in Tanzania?
In fact, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Because, you see, there were all hopes that after the death of Magufuli, and this woman assumed the reins of power, leading the Chamacha Mampuduzi party, one would have thought that, look, she's going to do something beautiful. But look at it. Events have taken a different turn. And this woman, arrests, detentions, disappearances, corruption, and what have you. It doesn't bode well for a country that was very much doing well during the era of Magufuli. So it's very, very surprising. Once you block the space of dissent, you stifle criticism, you disallow political participation. You remember that you have really, limited the political space. So then forces at work will begin to employ all manner of tactics. And this is what we have, students of what democracy, we are kicking against, because we have won the battle against military adventurism. Until recently, we've done so well, because if you look at the third waves of democracy in the 90s, Africa stood firm. And of course, some were whipped by democratic forces, and the status quo changed, and then we had a democracy. So going forward, we had the belief that we will continue from where our people left off. But hey, look, in recent times, we've seen a reversal. And this was the situation in Latin America some years ago. It's my hope and prayer that we don't go to what? The fourth or fifth wave of democracy, where military will come and then take us to the old order, which you and I don't want. And then the new status quo is built and the rest of them. We don't want that. And this is what... Let
me end with two broad-based questions. Some people say democracy shouldn't be an end in itself. It's development people want. If you look at Cote d'Ivoire, as you rightly said, the numbers are not that bad. They are, I think, the 9th or 8th largest economy in Africa. They do very well on the economic side. Indeed, under Ouattara, Cote d'Ivoire has improved economically. You go to Tanzania. I was watching a documentary last week about Africa's 7th longest bridge that they built, opening up the country. They have a very modern transportation system. The country seems pretty well developed in terms of economic progress. Shouldn't that be what we should focus on? Because it's not every country that develops that has the so-called Western type democracy. So when we criticize these guys, they can say, look, my people are happy. They are getting the development, they are getting the jobs. Why should we be concerned about elections and whether somebody is running or not?
Development is a total concept. Development in one aspect of human life, say for instance the economy, without reference to what politics and societal needs, is empty. It's nothing but what development in the cemetery, that you provide all the infrastructure development, you provide basic needs, but I cannot express my views. I cannot criticize government. I cannot also demonstrate to express my opinion about government decision. Then obviously, this is what Michael Kwe refers to as democracy in the cemetery. All right, we saw that in other countries in Africa, and people were thinking that that was democracy. It's just a matter of time, and you realize that there is a complete culture of silence, and then people will now begin to yearn for strong voices, strong leadership that will come and liberate them from those type of shackles and tentacles that they find themselves under. And for me, that is a worrying situation. Development is all encompassing.
All right.
And that you expect that in the political field, economic field, social field, there must be development all across board. One section getting and others don't is unfortunate. It's not a democracy. It's not a development.
Should the AU be playing a more significant role in these and other elections? Where can recourse come from for the citizens? Is the AU the body, or should we look at more regional-based interventions?
Of course, we cannot do anything without reference to AU. So AU has a role to play by making sure that they talk to leaders of Africa so that they go according to those rules and regulations that guide the conduct of elections in Africa. That is one. The second one is that the sub-regional bodies must be up and doing, and to be able to take leaders on and then hold their feet to political accountability and then respect for rules of the game. More often than not, our leaders have been pampering these democratic lunatics, how I call them, and then they misbehave anyhow without any justification. Our leaders pamper them because they sit on the same table and then they misbehave. They must call them. And of course, the third one is the people. We must be vigilant and put pressure on government who takes us for granted, and make sure that we establish a system that we call our own, a system that provides the dividends of democracy, that improvement of our lives, freedom, and then liberty.
Thank you, Dr. Kwame Asa-Asante, who is with the University of Ghana Political Science Department. We really appreciate your time.